Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here. And I suppose I'm also rather lucky to have made it here, given the international travel conditions. But I made it, and I'm delighted to be a part of this event. I also want to thank you all for your support of Mannkal and for the ideas of liberty, the values that we share. Congratulations to Siena and to Robert for recently completing the Mannkal Leadership Program. They are back from their travels only by, a couple weeks, I think, and safe and sound, and here to tell you a little bit about their experiences abroad. We have a couple pictures that we want to show. Are we ready with those? Okay. We have one that features Siena and another that features Robert, and each of these photos say something about the experiences they've had. I see the one that's up there now is with Robert on your right, and so why don't we then start with Robert. Tell us where is this at, and what effect did it have on you being there?
Well, if I'm being honest, Larry, I don't know the exact location. Been trying to devise it
Zero effect
for the last day or so, but no success. Look, it is in London, I know that much. The exact site, no, I'm not so sure. But yeah, look, this was in London during our time with the Institute of Economic Affairs, and we were really lucky to spend a week there. And as part of that, we were able to do a Westminster treasure hunt, and that involved going around and seeing a few sites. So that was a really fantastic opportunity. As I said, we saw this fantastic site, which we don't know the name of, but nonetheless, we got a good photo, so it was an enjoyable time.
Somewhere in Westminster.
Indeed, mate, indeed.
Okay. Thanks, Robert. And Siena, this is a famous landmark in the United States. Tell us where.
Absolutely. It's the Supreme Court of the United States of America, an extremely iconic place in Capitol Hill. We were overlooking the Capitol building itself, these incredible white buildings with these large white pillars. I think the glare was honestly an issue for us. But in terms of the history and the significant events that had occurred, it was just incredible to be there. Being a part of history, really, it was quite amazing.
I think you were lucky too, because you were there obviously with no protesters, no placards, no people marching around demonstrating in any way. You know, it's always tempting when you talk to people who have just come back from literally 2 months abroad, right? To talk about sights, things that they saw, the physical things that they saw. But the experience in the Mannkal Leadership Program is so much more than that, isn't it? These are not just vacations. You work and you observe, you learn and you experience. Tell us what the takeaway is from your 2-month experience in the places that you visited.
For me personally, travelling to the United States of America, I left Australia with fundamental libertarian values, but I didn't exactly understand where they had come from, the philosophy necessarily behind it. And I feel like through travelling to the United States, it gave me a broad perspective on all the different libertarian think tanks, their ideologies, their philosophy. It gave me a better understanding of my philosophy, understanding the roots, the philosophers itself, and it also taught me to challenge myself and my personal philosophy in order to expand it, to understand it better, and ultimately to believe in it. And that was truly inspiring.
Fantastic. Robert?
I think for us we were very lucky to visit a variety of places. We started in Hong Kong before the coronavirus, thankfully, and we finished in Israel. So we got a diverse experience in that regard. I think going before the trip, I was a libertarian at heart. I was probably too conservative, to be honest, in both an economic and social sense. But exploring these different areas, and particularly certain countries with a high emphasis on the social sector, such as Denmark and the UK, gave me a really rewarding perspective on why it's important to appreciate social ideas and socialist systems in order to strengthen our arguments for libertarianism. So in that regard, it was a really rewarding experience.
Yeah, the really great thing is that you didn't go to just one place and come away thinking you'd seen an entire country. In fact, in your case, Siena, in the U.S., you were coast to coast. and you had a special experience in San Francisco, I think, at the Hoover Institution. Can you tell us about that?
Well, all the experiences at all the different think tanks were incredible, but one that did stand out for me was the Hoover Institute. It was located in the heart of Stanford University, which was pretty incredible given the history and the prestige that Stanford holds. And we got to listen and engage with some amazing speakers, such as the former Secretary of Defense, John Mattis. And he shared an incredible story and a few words with us. And one of them, if you don't mind, if I share it with you now, but it was when he was on a military boat in the middle of the ocean and they saw this refugee boat. And the refugees, from his binoculars, were absolutely distraught. They were freaking out. They were jumping off the boat. But when the boat turned around, the military boat turned around and they saw the American flag, they started jumping for joy and were so relieved. And he said, this is what the American flag means to people. It means freedom. It means liberty. And that story was just so moving from his personal experience as such an incredible individual with such an amazing experience himself. And I guess the whole conversation at Stanford University was about valuing the liberal democratic state that is America and obviously in Australia as well, and not to take it for granted. And that was really empowering for myself, and it really spoke quite loud to me and wanting to come home and to spread that message here because, as he quoted himself, we've come to take democracy for granted, and I couldn't agree more, and it was extremely empowering.
As an American, I especially appreciate what you've just said. Robert, I think you told me earlier today that of all the places you went to, Israel left the greatest impact. Tell us why.
Yeah, look, going to Israel was an incredible experience. It really was a pinch yourself moment when you land in Tel Aviv and head down the highway to Jerusalem, and you realise you're in this, unbelievable place, this melting pot for, religious and political ideas. We were very fortunate to be led by Sherry Sufi. I should say Dr. Sherry Sufi. He tells me he didn't do his PhD for nothing, so I'll slip that one in for him. But look, it was an incredible opportunity to engage in modern ideas, particularly the modern technology, which has come to be a part of the Israeli culture. So one example of that was when we were able to attend the Our Crowd conference in Jerusalem, and this conference centred around bringing together thousands of entrepreneurs and business people into a variety of conference rooms to discuss how we can drive the world forward using modern technology. And I think this is a really important takeaway for us scholars, particularly here living in Australia, where we are so reliant on natural resources, particularly with the mining industry. And of course now we're seeing with the coronavirus how this is impacting our economy directly. So how we can use this and go forward using modern technology, I think Israel is a great example of that.
Now, you were gone for 2 months. You saw many things, did a great deal of travel. In what ways would you say the experience changed you? Or can you say that you are in any way a different person because of your 2-month experience?
Absolutely. As corny as it sounds, it was a life-changing experience. I think 2 months abroad with 7 people that you've never known before and become incredible close friends with and meet this entirely new network of people, see this entirely new culture. I don't think you can come away from that unchanged. Personally, for me, as I said before, I did go with fundamental libertarian values, especially economic values, but it challenged me both emotionally and personally as well as academically. And in that, I think I understood my personal ideology and philosophy better. I understood the philosophy behind the libertarian arguments, as well as that I think, living with these 7 people, as I think I briefly mentioned to you before today, I think it's a common misconception that the American and Australian cultures are so similar. And don't get me wrong, in many ways they are, in terms of our fundamental values of, liberty and freedom and democracy. However, in many ways they're also extremely different. And with these slight nuances between our cultures, it enabled me to open my mind, challenge myself, think differently about the world, think broadly about the world. And as I said before, it was truly inspiring, and I feel like I've got all this inspiration now and I've just got to let it go now back in Australia. So definitely changed me.
That's the plan, isn't it, Ron? It worked. Robert, how about you?
Yeah, no, I know we're running short on time. So look, a very short answer would be it did. It was an incredibly rewarding experience. We learnt a lot. we were exposed to incredible networks. So to any budding scholars out there who are interested in the program and getting involved with Mannkal, I could not recommend it more. So thank you again to all those who have invested in the program, and your investment is really appreciated.
One last question for both of you. We have people here in the audience that they make up quite a diverse group, in the sense you've got young people who may be future applicants to the program. You've got older folks who support the program. How about a message for those who are thinking they might want to apply? What would you tell them as to what they can expect or why they should apply for this program in the future?
Well, I think Rob summed it up quite nicely, but honestly, it is a life-changing experience. It does challenge the ideologies that you hold. It broadens your horizons. It opens your mind. It is completely worthwhile. And as Rob stated before, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, the entire team at Mannkal. Thank you to everyone who puts money into us and invests in us, because it truly is a valuable experience. It is life-changing, and it's totally changed my perspective and inspired me incredibly. So if that's not enough to get you involved, I don't know what is.
And I think Eva's looking at me to turn off the microphone. So look, I'll just say, definitely apply for the Mannkal program. It's a fantastic opportunity to really change your life in a variety of ways. So cheers again.
Thank you, Siena and Robert. Aren't they fantastic? Thanks again, Siena. Appreciate it.